So hello everybody, welcome to today's call for the OpenONU Adaptive Go. As I said, this is the first one that we record. We have had many in the past, so please do take a look at the agenda if you're interested in those, and feel free to ask questions. So having said that, I'd like to get an update as usual from the folks at Adtran, Holger and Michael. On the status of the implementation, and then there's a few topics that we need to discuss and for the next steps. So, Holger, Michael, floor is yours.
Yeah, perhaps I can say some words. As we stated in our last meeting, we were dealing these days with the configuration of the different available tech profiles, one TCON 4 GAN ports and one TCON 8 GAN ports. We are still busy doing that. We have some progress. We also had some issues to be solved, which were still on the to-do list in the last code, where we used some fixed assumptions about some entity IDs and so on. This is still not fully made according to the values that we get from the MIP upload process. So that is the thing that we still have to do here. I also want to have a further look at the scheduling mechanism that is configured via the tech profile, meaning the setting between strict priority and the weighted round robin. At the moment, I think a weighted round robin is set as default. There have to be done some changes in this respect. We also did some further work in respect to the etcd storage, KV storage for the storage of the path data for the tech profile. So that is a preparation already that is needed for the reconcile treatment of the ONU. That also is in the field of the tech profile configuration. So there was a little bit to do. We are not finished, so but maybe Holger still says some words. My hope would be that we can deliver a patch upload perhaps this week.
Yes, concerning the support device restart without OLT trigger, safe restore and delete of tech profile data, the first version of code is available, could be, the patch could be delivered. And also regarding the fixed assumptions, some of the fixed assumptions Michael mentioned, I already on the way to fill these data from our internal database stored during Michael, you meant MIP upload, right? Not download.
Yeah, MIP upload, sorry.
Yeah, and I'm filling these fixed assumption currently with the data we received during MIP upload or via MIP template reading.
Okay, yeah, that's great. I know there is a discussion with Girish in respect of some parameters around the 1 TCON 4 gem and 1 TCON 8 gem priorities. Is that correct, Michael?
Yeah, that's correct. I think Girish also agreed that the configuration that is used in the 4 GAN port profile, which is used for TCOM, in my point of view, is a little bit strange. So I think he wanted to start some discussion if that is really the intention or where these values really come from. for us, for the integration of the tech profile, it is not plays not that big role, but the real values that are used are a little bit strange. So for us, it's a good test object because the priority queues are reversed. So it's not a one-to-one mapping, but a reversed mapping. So that is good for testing.
Yeah. So I might ask Girish to join this meeting maybe next time to see whether we can discuss this. Would that make sense?
Well, we have the discussion on the Slack channel. So far, he has responded on that quite good in time. I don't know if it is necessary to invite him here to this meeting. If he has time, he can, but I think if it's on the Slack channel, it's okay. Maybe if there's no response, then I can make a further request there. It's up to you if you invite him or not.
Okay, yeah, let's see what he says on the Slack channel, and let's continue the discussion there, and just make sure that we take that into account. Okay.
Andrea, the last point is Philip's a little bit too optimistic. Device restart triggers a rehandling of device data is concerning the TP, the tech profile data, probably not completely at the moment. This is only focused on the tech profile currently.
Oh, okay, I see.
But Thorsten has extended the test case, or is about to extend the test case, and would be then our possibility to check the further implementation. But probably Thorsten will also say some words about this.
Yes. This one, right?
No, that is the next. Thorsten, you are currently this is your task you are working on. The disable, enable, reconcile extension. No,
no, this is the tech profile.
Yeah, but the next story, I think you already defined the story for the reconcile test, right?
This is 3401. Yes, right. This is the next story of the next test case. I will start tomorrow morning.
Just based on your statements, Andrea, that we can provoke this reconcile message via disable enable. This was a background of this story.
Oh yeah. Okay. Let me just put the Jira also here for anybody who's interested. Okay. In relation to the other patch you have updated, I just had a minor comment on there. No, this one. That there's a line that can be removed. Either up to you if you want to address it in this patch or you want this one to be merged, then you can address it in the next one. Up to you.
I think I will do it with the next patch.
Okay, then.
Yes.
Yeah, fortunately, Thorsten was able to provide this extended test already to us. So we used that already in our verification of the configuration of the different tech profiles.
So I had a question. I had a question on this patch that the value of the tech profile is passed by command line, right?
This is an additional argument, yes.
You can pass it by the command line, or you use the default. right?
That is what I was considering, that the automated test that we have on Jenkins probably is not going to use the default. So if we want to test maybe a specific one, you can maybe make a change in the pipeline to pass 1T4 gem or 1T8 gem. Or we can duplicate it and make a test run with the default and a test run with the 1T8 gem, for example.
I think
How is
the last one is a better.
How is the tech profile selected in the Python version of the new adapter? Because I know you can specify the technology profile for a specific subscriber in the settings configuration. I'm not sure how that makes its way down to the new adapter though. But I know different subscribers can have different tech profiles.
So what you're suggesting, Theo, is to specify it in the SADIS config for the Jenkins test?
Well, that's not what I'm suggesting. That's the way it works in the other test.
Yeah. That is the way it works in the full end-to-end Volta stack.
Yeah.
So right now, this one just this stores it basically.
Yeah, that puts it in etcd.
That puts it in etcd, yes.
That's fine, but you mentioned that you specify it in the command line on the adapter.
No, on the
Not in
test.
the
Oh, okay. Sorry, I completely misunderstood.
So that's why I was asking if we should probably have a modification of the job to include both testing for default and testing for 1T8 gem. Okay, maybe look into that.
Yeah, we should probably bring that up with Suchitra.
Okay, yeah, I can take that out. I can take that up and try and look at the Jenkins job for this. Okay, perfect. Anything else? So Torsten, I rebased your patch, and that's going to go in as soon as it passes again Jenkins verification. Should be no problem.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Anything else on this, Michael, Holger, the current status of this stuff?
Nothing to add.
Okay, perfect. So Theo, I'll let you take the next one on the scale jobs.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it says. We scheduled the job to compare the two adapters. As we expected, the Golang version is way faster. You can see that with 64 ONUs, we are around 13-14 seconds for the Golang version and between 40 and 45 for the Python version. And then there are other two jobs that actually look for 256 ONUs, and you can see an even bigger difference. It's the 1832. Yeah. So if you look at the plots, this job is not super stable, but that's something related to the job itself, not to the adapter. But when you run with 250 ONUs, you're still in that 10-second range. While with the Python version, you go close to 3 minutes. So the Golang version is way faster than the Python version.
You mean here when the job actually passes, right?
Yeah, when it fails, it's not actually the the OpenONU adapter, but the job was a little unstable beginning of the weeks because we introduced some changes.
Yeah, changes to kind Volta. Yeah. So yeah, that's an amazing result. I mean, it's less than 50. It's actually probably around 15, 20, as you said, and then while 180 on the 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's pretty much 20 times faster, and I have the feeling that if we scale this up, meaning that we try to activate 1,000 menus, we'll see even a bigger difference if only the Python adapter could support that bigger number.
But it doesn't, though. So yeah, we should still probably aim at trying 1,000 ONUs with the Go version and see how fast it is. Just, you know.
Yeah, I can set that up. That should be fairly easy. I just need to do a little bit of cleanup in the number of jobs that we are running, because the scale cluster is pretty much at capacity. So I'll have to remove something. But I guess now that we have the comparison, we can only keep the one for 1,000. We don't need to keep around the one for 64 and 250.
Yeah, I think we can keep around the 256, this one, and just scrap the 32. I mean.
Yeah, the 64, I'm gonna to scrap that for sure, and then see how much free time we have on that cluster, because the number of jobs loading.
Matteo, how many processing cores has your machine where your test is running on?
It's a cluster of 3 physical machines. Each machine has 40 cores.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I think somewhere it's written what it is. It's in the drive, right, Theo?
In the drive, if you look for scale numbers, yeah, that one.
This one.
Okay, I see. But that, unfortunately, this will not the target architecture, right? For
What do you mean the target architecture?
For which will be deployed at Deutsche Telekom also.
Oh,
where I don't know. Can you say something about the target architecture?
I have not heard final numbers.
Okay.
So
yeah, I don't know where they plan to deploy that. But talking about servers, these are 3 pretty average server.
yeah, they're not like crazy servers.
So if you plan to buy some machines and deploy on physical hardware, I think it's pretty reasonable, this amount of performances.
Okay.
And if I'm not mistaken, these are 3 SSDs, right, Theo? Because that was something that came up time once. Okay, sir, sure. Okay.
So, but to the BBC Brigade is going to work to set up a job to measure how many resources we are consuming for a certain number of menus. Meaning how many use, how much memory and how much disk, etc. So that we can use those numbers to drive the decision for DT. So hopefully in the near future, I'll have a better answer for you.
During my tests, I did not came over 1,200%, or actually 12 cores were heavily used, but I had more than 20, so I don't know why not all were used, but I was not alone at the machine. It could also be the problem. So the figures would also be interesting.
Yeah, we're still working to chase down a couple little bugs in 2.4 that we're seeing, but as soon as we're done with that, that's our top priority.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Perfect. So Actually, let me switch these two up. And let's talk about functional logging later. So this one, it's odds guess batch for the reboot. Still failing on Jenkins. We have to take a look at why, but this, according to her, should be reviewed by you, Michael, and should probably be along the lines of the comments that you were making some time ago. I still have to see why it failed on this. She was having issues this morning, but this should be along the correct lines of what was discussed last week. So I would like you, Michael and Holger, to take a look at this if you can.
I saw that she was supplying patches and that they were still failing on Jenkins. So I waited a bit for corrections that she would do. But anyway, we can also have a look at the changes.
I think the code is right. There's just maybe some failures. I have to take a look at why it fails, but we can do that later. Okay. Any questions on this one while we are at it?
No.
Okay, perfect.
No.
Okay. So next up, I want to bring up a couple of points that were related to our Jira. So I know that Divya started working on this task here, basically extending the existing work to include the creation of the mid template, which is actually something that the current OpenONU Python doesn't have. Basically, it starts by getting the data from the first ONU if it doesn't find the template and create the template out of that. So that should save us some time too. Should save us some further processing of ONCI messages for each ONU. Does that make sense?
So that is something that was discussed when we first talked about MIB templates, and the question that came with it was, okay, but if I bring up 1,000 ONUs at the same time, does it really make a difference? Because probably by the time I'm done creating the template, I already started the MIB download and upload for all of them.
Well, so in theory, what happens, at least the workflow I have in my mind, is that the first time you see an ONU is not going to be 1,000 of them at the same time. So the first time is actually going to be the provisioning state of the OLT, where you're not going to bring them all up at the same time, I guess. So if that is the case, you're going to see some of them, and then the next time over, you actually have the template. Or even if it is 1,000 ONUs the first time, the second time over, let's say the OLT goes down, you actually have the template.
I also made tests, a load test with template handling, or template using the templates, and it is also with the Golang adapter significantly speed up the process. So I wouldn't drop this. I think it is still worse.
Yeah, no, if it's there, it's absolutely.
But the question, currently the templates are generated based on debug outputs of the Python adapter, and then some manual work is necessary. Does it mean that this new implementation will produce a complete file without manual intervention, or what is planned currently in this task?
Yeah, that's the idea. Basically, it would be to read the data from the first ONU or whatever ONU comes, and create the JSON and load it into etcd.
Okay, that means some kind of dynamically provisioning of the templates, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I see. But okay, the format should be kept, right? Is the format of the
Yeah, I
Python
don't think
version.
the format is going to change.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that will the reading will also work.
Yeah, the reading will work.
Mm-hmm.
At least it should. Okay, I just wanted to bring this up so you guys know what's going on, what Divya is working on. I'll make sure she joins next time the meeting so we can have her and discuss with her what's the status of this. But it's good that she started working on it.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe it's already in the patch. I haven't seen it, but given that we have this way to dynamically create the template, great if we have some way to export it. Because I can imagine that no operator will actually try an ONU in production, but they will try it in the lab. So if you can try it in the lab, having the adapter generating the template and then export it somewhere to preload it in your production cluster, that would be a very useful feature.
Isn't a download from etcd enough?
Yeah, probably yes.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's a great idea. Thanks, Dale. Okay, this is done. In relations to the other tasks that are ongoing, these we discussed already. This one we discussed already. There is nothing else that is in progress as far as I know. There's a few tests in here, so thanks for taking care of those. But apart from that, there is really nothing else going on. Or is there something that we forgot to put in progress? No.
I don't think so, but I remember there was a different task ongoing for the usage of different for a different number or also different type of OLT adapters. Maybe this story is still in progress, but I was wondering there hasn't been some progress to that all.
Is that to have a single OpenONU adapter with multiple OLT adapters?
Yes.
So that most likely it's not going to happen for the Python version of the adapter, because the Python version cannot really support that many ONUs. So there is no point to port all that mechanism to the Python libraries for basically no good reason. Because if you can only support 200 ONUs with one adapter, then there is no reason to use one OpenONU adapter with two OLT adapters. While in the Golang version, that should be, I remember there was a patch going around, and that should already be the case, that the devices are not statically set, but they are fetched via the endpoint library. And so this behavior should already be there.
No, I don't think so. So in my mind, this point is still open, and the last patch was just removed. So I don't know any progress in this respect here.
Okay, because there was a patch from
Andrea, there should also be a
Yes.
separate story for the OpenOLT adapter Go. Perhaps there's some entry in there.
I think.
Are you looking for the patch in the OpenONU adapter, Andrea?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's from Ron. I can send it.
Oh no, Girish. Yes.
But that's had been abandoned.
Yeah, that's what I meant. It's just abandoned, and yeah, nothing more happened to that.
Yeah. Well, would have to look in. I'll have to look into this a little bit more because I haven't looked at the code of the OpenONU adapter recently. But I'll look at it and I'll update. I remember there was an email thread.
Yeah, there was something, and from my understanding, my impression was that perhaps an update or an extension to the libraries that are dealing with that is needed. And then, of course, an according update of the adapter code would be needed, but yeah.
Yeah,
I
I'm
haven't
not
seen it.
sure. So for most of the messages are actually coming from the OpenOLT adapter, correct?
Yep.
And so when that happens, in the message header, there is a reply to topic that can just be used. So for that, no changes in the libraries are required. The only case in which the OpenONU adapter starts the communication is when it starts the OMCI change. And for that, we can use the library to get the correct topic ID. And the library basically works that you call to this get endpoint function, passing the device ID, and that will return you a topic name.
Yeah, maybe, but there's nothing like that in my point of view in the actual UNO adapter Go code. So that's why I would say it's still open.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a note to move on with this discussion.
Okay. Okay, next up is a topic that came up in a review from myself and Michael, and there was an interesting discussion. So the background is that in a patch that you can see here, there was some code that was mimicking a logging, but it was not the logger, or at least was selecting what to log based on some other types of levels. In particular, this time is the mid debug level. So what that is, and I discussed it with Michael, the idea is that you have the notion of functional logging, meaning allow me to have a debug log for just the mib upload, mib download, or flow update set of calls. So while I do think that is completely valuable to have, I do see it spiraling completely out of control because there can be so many permutations and so many different workflows and calls and things like that, setting the parameters for all of those will complicate the startup of the adapter and the readability and the usability of the code very much. But I'd like to open the floor up to everybody to hear thoughts about this.
Well, I think one side of the story is that we took this topic up, and I think Holger has created also an according story for that to at least track that. Holger?
Yes, I did. I think there was already a comment regarding this.
In my point of view, the main idea was that so the whole logging library usage can build up upon using different module logging configurations, and we stated that when we try to clean up the code a little bit, then it would also make sense to separate all the different functionalities into different modules. And using or doing that approach, then it will be probably easy to inherit this logging facilities of modules, which is already available. But that is a point that takes time and is shifted to to a later time point.
It also corresponds to the effort to split up the implementation to different modules, which could be combined differently using different ONUs. For example, no? You could have some kind of core library where the core functionalities are located, and some pluggable libraries which are supporting different ONU types. Right, Michael?
Yeah, that's the intention is to by further modularizing the software here, it should be easier for other implementations to create a subsort of the Go adapter for different types of ONUs, if that should be required one day. Andrea, are you still there?
Yeah, I am here. I was pondering the debate. I honestly don't know. I mean, the code can be left in, but it's just that it complicates it. I guess we had the argument. I have nothing more to say to you guys. I would like to have thoughts from the group really on what we should do with this and what is the best.
And at the moment, we did not really use that kind of, let's say, functional debugging configuration. We didn't use that quite often, just very rare at the moment. At these points where we have it at the moment, I think we can also discuss to remove the debug entries completely. But anyway, that does not solve the need to improve the debugging and the logging itself in order to be able to analyze the logs when you deal with multi-ONU configuration. I think at the moment we have 3 or 4 places where we used it just to remove the logs that we have at that point. And I think at that point it's also possible to completely remove the log. But anyway, we have to find a better solution for the logging.
Andrea, sometimes you commenting if we have, for example, a commented out lines, this should be deleted. But sometimes it is probably it is worse to keep a log commented out. But when there's some particular investigation, the log could be activated. But what is the background that you are arguing so heavily against commented out lines?
Oh, it's just code style and the fact that code cleanness and it's not a strict requirement. It's just that if anybody actually will look at this, and people will, because people will have to put their hands on it, like commented out code is not the best thing to have. It's just style. It's no real functionality. Since this is a wider open source project and many people will use it and will put their hands on it, code maintainability is something that we have to take into account.
I know commented out code is getting wrong after some time. Yeah, I know.
So I think what we can do, and I was about to suggest this one also for the functional logging, I think that for now we can leave it in. And then we can decide in the future, maybe when further steps are taken to split it apart or do other things in Volta, we can decide whether when it's closer to actually getting into the stack, instead of the Python version, we can have a more in-depth discussion about it. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, perfect. Great. So next up, I did not really add this point, which is the tech profile support in BBSim. I know there is an email that goes around, but I think Theo, did you add this?
Yeah, I added it because I mean I'm not super expert in ONCI, but this topic of supporting the tech profiles in BBSim came out on that email thread, and I'm a little confused about it because in my understanding, the tech profile will only shape data plane traffic. Will have no effect on control packets sent through gRPC. So I was eager to understand what BBSim needs to do to support the tech profiles.
Yeah, I think this discussion came up because when we started here, we were wondering that there are no real robot test cases to be found which make use of the different tech profiles. And we were just thinking that one reason for that could be that there is some missing support for that in the BBSim implementation. But meanwhile, well, we have tested with different tech profiles, with the available tech profiles and with BBSim, and it came out that there is no limitation in BBSim. It fully supports all the OMSI configuration that we have to do for that. So there's no restriction limitation in BBSim in respect to tech profiles.
Yeah, but BBSim will not react in any different way, but it will just respond with the expected OMCI message.
Yeah, it does, so it's okay.
Okay.
Well, it was only an initial thought of why there is no support in the robot test cases. So we learned that.
So the reason for not having test is that given that BBSim then sends out real traffic, it will be very, very hard to test these tech profiles.
Okay, I understand.
So
So
yeah,
what we have done, what Thorsten did in his test now is also to check if the according indications are stored in etcd. So that is one check that, of course, can be done.
Yeah, I think one thing that we can possibly do in BBC, but tell me if I'm saying something very stupid, because the tech profile will create some traffic schedulers down in the OLT. Is that correct?
So I'm not sure if it really creates some traffic schedulers. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
at least.
Yeah, because now we are ignoring those in BBC, but if that's the case, that's something we can keep track of and expose them. Yeah, so we can test that.
Can we also check the messages that arrive to BBSIM according to MCI for the tech profile? Maybe? Are they stored in any way, Matteo? I'm not sure.
No.
No?
No, that's a long-standing Jira to actually replace the OMCI handling that BBSIM does with the same library that Chip wrote and that it's been used in the OpenONU adapter. Because as now BBSIM is using this very ugly mock that was basically a dump of what a real ONU will send out, and basically based on the message you receive, BBC will send the coding response based on that original dump. So we almost have no control on the OMCI part of BBC until we migrate to use proper library.
Okay. I think then we're probably good for now, and let's keep it at that.
So if you really want in BBC, you can turn on the trace logs, and that will dump every single OMCI message. And then you can theoretically scrape them with the test, but that seems more trouble than actual test.
I would avoid.
Oh, the thing is that when we send according OMSI messages, which are different, of course, between the different tech profiles, then always the according OMSI response for each managed entity is checked. If there's something missing, the process will be aborted, and accordingly, the requested state won't be reached. So in my point of view, together with the check in the etcd, to verify if all the profiles are assigned to all configured ONUs. That taken together, in my point of view, is sufficient.
Okay. Sounds good to me. Perfect. Okay. Before we break, I wanted to discuss the next meeting date, because the next meeting date is supposed to happen on the 19th, although that day I am on PTO, and I'm on PTO for the whole week. So there's a couple of ways we can go about this. One is to schedule it for next week, same time, or postpone it to the week of the 26th.
Or you can just come to work on the 19th.
I am going to be on the beach. So what would you guys prefer? Do you think, because what I think is that there's probably enough stuff to have it next week, at least a short one, especially given the stuff that Oddsgay is closing up, and some of these patches will probably be ready, and maybe we can have a short one next week, and then have the one properly 2 weeks later. Would that work?
It's fine for me.
Yes, it's okay.
Okay, then I'll move it to next week, and we can go ahead with that. Okay, thanks everybody. Is there any other topic that you guys want to bring up?
No.
No? Then thanks for joining. We'll talk on Slack, on the email as usual, and thanks for the great work, everybody, as always. Thanks a lot. Cheers. Bye-bye.
You're welcome.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.